Guys, welcome back to StrangerPalooza. This is the VanNoisSeur Podcast, and here we explore all things RVs, Class Bs, overlanding, and van life culture. That's right, that's what I said. My guest joining me live today is Jason of Ham Radio 2.0. What's up, man?
Hello. How are you? How's it going, man?
Good.
It's been too long since we talked.
I know it has been, and it's all my fault. 100.
Well, yeah.
100%. Yeah, I've been, Yeah. I don't know. No excuses, I guess, right?
Hey, man, you're staying busy. That's a good thing.
Yes,
it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's leave the excuses out of it. I'm gonna pop this. Let me see if I could do this here real quick. I am gonna make sure that I pop up the thumbnail that we're using for this here while I do this. Let's see. It should come through. Okay, hold on. And boom, there we go. All right, so yes, this is episode 13 of the VanNoisSeur Podcast. And of course, my guest is Jason of Ham Radio 2.0. Look at that beautiful mug right there. I almost green screened in or blue screened or photoshopped in like a radio or something. And I was like,
okay. Well, that could have been a thing.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, that's just going to be overkill.
Yeah.
So, how's it going, man?
Man, I've been keeping busy just like you have. Kind of same thing over here. So I actually I'm about to launch my own podcast.
Oh, really?
I recorded the first video just about 2 hours ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Haven't.
What's your podcast going to be about?
It's going to be, I've kind of announced it, but it's not live yet, so there's nothing up there yet. But it's going to be called Rigs and Radio, and it's going to talk about overlanding rigs.
Okay.
And what radios we have installed, and it's going to be it doesn't have to be radio centric, but it's going to be overland rig more centric. But we're going to focus on radios if the person also has radio, and it doesn't have to be ham radio. It could be GMRS. CD, whatever we want to do. So we're going to try to do a podcast that kind of marries those two worlds together.
Yeah, and I think, those things do go together. If you're, whatever kind of RVing you're doing or traveling you're doing, it's good to have backup communications. So let's start here, Jason. For the folks who don't know who you are, what Ham Radio 2.0 is, I think, let's just start from there.
Okay, yeah. Ham Radio 2.0 is my YouTube channel. Been doing that about 8.5 years, something like that. It focuses on stuff that's new in ham radio, either equipment, radios, antennas, just all kinds of electronic equipment, but also some classes and whatnot. So it focuses on getting people licensed and upgraded so that they can enjoy the world of ham radio just like I do. So that's what it's focused on.
Yes. And that's how I got my license. How long ago is that I got my?
It was February. It was February of last year when you and Lola tested at Orlando Hamcation.
Was that only last year? I thought it's been like at least 2 years now or something.
That's almost this February to be 2 years. So, yeah, the Orlando show is in February,
okay.
and yeah, so it was not 2023 but 2022 February.
And you are into RVing and overlanding, as you said. I think we originally met at Overland East, didn't we?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's been some years.
Yeah, I was 21, I think.
Yeah, I didn't see you out there this year.
No, I sadly. So Vid Summit, which is the largest YouTube convention in the nation, it happened that same week, and it was right here. It was in Dallas this year. It's usually in California.
Oh, cool.
So
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, I attended Vid Summit. I was there for about 3 days, and that was the same week as Overland East this year. But next year they've got it. They've already got the dates planned next year. They don't coincide. They're 2 weeks apart. So I am going to do my best to be at Overland Expo East in Virginia next year.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll probably see you out there then. Yeah, so good. Jason is into ham radio communication stuff, knows a lot about this. Ham Radio 2.0 is the YouTube channel for you guys to go to with that. And, of course, as you said, you're into overlanding. I know you got a Jeep. I know you got a trailer. We're going to talk about your future plans of stuff that you're going to do here. So I would invite the folks out there to tell us what kind of traveling you all do. So, do you fly? Do you hitchhike? Do you do you drive out there like in some kind of overland rig or an RV of some sort? Fifth wheel trailer, Class B, Class A, whatever it is. Let us know what you guys do, and we'll be happy to answer questions on any of those things. So, I see Kyle's out there. He says he'll be at East.
Yes. So Kyle just put a down payment on a hiker trailer that he's going to pick up in January.
Okay, a hiker trailer. What is that?
Hiker. Hiker's the brand. They're out of Indiana, I think. And it's like one of those small, very lightweight. It's just the interior is just a bed, and then the kitchen's on the outside. And you can pull it with a smaller vehicle. So
and it's spelled like hiker. I'm trying to pull that up.
Yes.
Hiker.
Hiker
trailer. I see it.
Yeah, they had a really big presence at the More Expo last April.
Okay.
And so yeah, they're.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see if I can actually pull this up here.
All right.
I will switch over to my phone here for a second. Boom. Is it these kinds of?
That's it. Yes.
Okay. There you go. Oh, so very cool. Yeah, these are kind of like off-road, off-grid kind of deals. I don't know if that one exactly there is a hiker trailer, but there's I'm familiar with these. Yeah, these are pretty cool. Get you off-road.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
they sit up a little bit higher. They got a little bit higher axles and wheel sizes, and they come with the all-terrain tires and whatnot. Of course, there's no drive behind them, but they're easier to pull over. If you're going off-road trailing, they're a little bit easier to pull and not going to drag as badly as like a regular trailer would. But
they have good aerodynamics, stuff like that.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of people making their own versions of those and getting military surplus stuff and building them up. Lightweight is the big thing if you're going off-road, I would say.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the things that Lee McChrysler says, teardrop. I love it to see all the ham radio call signs coming in here.
You told me to share the link, man, so I shared the link for you.
I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy to see all those folks coming in here. As well as the other folks. The ham radio is strong out there. It's strong out there. So let us know where you guys are, what kind of how you travel and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I'm right now looking. I was at SEMA show maybe a week ago, and Winnebago has something called The Hike, and I did a video on that's going to be coming out. I know that's not exactly this kind of thing. This was really really nice inside. Let me see if I could show a picture of it here. More expensive, but designed to go off-road. So let's see if we can pop that up here just so I can show people. I have a video coming out on this sometime soon. So there you go.
That's neat looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's from Winnebago. They do Class B stuff as well, but it was interesting to see this because this thing is fully loaded. When you guys get take a gander at that video, only thing it's like $50,000 or something.
Hikers are very affordable.
Yes,
I mean the brand Hiker. I think they start at like 16, and then you can kind of modularize, pick what you want to add to it and that kind of thing. Of course, that makes the price go up, but I think that they're pretty economical to start off with.
Yeah. So Lee McSee says, "Is Kyle going off road? Is he going off road? I'm guessing. If he's getting that, he's got to be.
I don't know, a little bit.
Yeah.
I know he's got a Toyota that he's building out, and we camped together at the More Expo last year, and we're planning to do so again next year. And then we've got a couple of we've got some overlanding trips planned for 2024. We're gonna have some we're gonna be doing some driving for ham radio and for other stuff as well. So,
and it's common for the ham radio guys to go RVing.
Yes.
and going off-roading as well. I know one of the things Lola wanted me to talk to you about is how you got into this. But
Mhm.
even when I met you guys at I met you at Overland East, but then when I came to the show that's here, the ham radio show that's here in Florida, there's a lot of, almost everyone was camping out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big
so
camp show too. So,
yeah.
yeah, there's actually a ham radio club called the RV Radio Network. I
Mhm.
went to their fall rally just like about a month ago,
Mhm.
and they have their own call sign. They're a ham
Mhm.
radio club. They get together and have nets and whatnot.
Mhm.
So so they do, but it's more of your RV crowd and not really an overland crowd specifically. But I find that when I go to these overland shows, I seem to always meet at least two or three or four guys there that are hammer operators that
Mhm.
want to talk about. So I think those two worlds have collided a lot more than people realize, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
And it's I kind of got into it honestly. I first got into it because Gigaparts started attending the
Oh
shows,
yeah, yeah.
and
Other Jason.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
So
shout
we
out
went
to
out
him. Hmm.
we went out there together, and we've done two or three things together since that show, and it's been a real fun way to see how those worlds intertwine together.
Yeah, I think the first time I actually saw your trailer was out at Gigaparts, right? I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, correct.
yeah. Because I think that's when you did a video that you put on your. I guess is it going to be an Overlanding channel now?
It's yeah. My second channel is called Unplugged.
Hmm.
It was mainly I mainly started it to do like off-grid gear reviews and whatnot,
Hmm.
but it kind of became a RV channel with the new RV stuff. But I've done some overlanding videos for overland trailers as well.
Hmm.
So it's kind of both right now until it grows and finds its. If it finds one or the other, then great. But right now it's
Yeah,
kind of a group effort.
yeah. The ham radio thing, from my meek understandings, humble understandings. It's this: you have to get out there and do stuff.
Yeah.
you know and I know that when I'm out there as well, I see people that either have ham radio or GMRS or
Mhm.
I guess I see CB stuff as well. What do you
Mhm.
see out there in the world in terms of communications? The people, what's the most popular?
In the overland world, I'd say the most popular is GMRS.
Hmm.
Everyone used to be CBs, and
Hmm.
over the course of the last, say, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, people have started to switch from CB. Because if you go buy if you now you can have modifications done to these radios if you want to, but if you go buy a stock CB off the shelf
Hmm.
and it's going to be like about 4 to 12 watts roughly. And if you go buy a stock GMRS radio off the shelf for a mobile GMRS radio for your vehicle, I'm talking, it's going to be like 40 to 50 watts. So you're going to get out farther with a GMRS radio than you would with a CB radio, simply because of the power output. Also, GMRS is FM, where CB is traditionally AM, although they have added FM to CB recently, but it's still limited to about 4 or 5 watts on the FM side.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, and the antennas are smaller on GMRS because the frequency is higher. So the higher you go in frequency, the smaller the antenna needs to be,
Hmm.
and it's a little bit more compact and a little bit more user friendly, if you would,
Yeah,
than to
easy
just
easy entry, right? Like, you don't have
yeah.
to do the tests and all that.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Well, of course, CBs are free. Anybody
Hmm.
can go buy a CB and start using it. GMRS, you're supposed to have a license, which you just pay money for. It's $35 for a 10-year license. So you
Hmm.
just sign up online, pay $35. They give you a call sign, you're done.
Hmm.
So it's very easy to get started in that. And I find that, and I have a CB. I don't currently have one in the truck, but I have plans to put one in the truck. I have a GMRS radio in the truck, and I've got like 3 ham radios in the truck. So I personally like ham radio better. But if you're talking about the overland RV world, GMRS is usually more prevalent just because it's easy. If you're going out in like a caravan, whether you're driving from state to state to go to a show, or whether you're going on trails, everybody can get a GMRS radio easily and put it in their truck and stay in communications with everyone in the small group they're in.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's probably what I see the most. Even at SEMA show, I think that's what I see most of the folks out there have. And I
Yeah,
think if you pay that $35, it's everyone in your family can use it, right?
correct. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So it's just real easy to get into it, and it seems like the companies are pushing that more commercially, or at least what I'm seeing out there than these. So when I go to overlanding shows, I don't see like ICOM's not typically out there, but I
No.
see is it Midland that's a big
Midland,
yeah.
Midland's out there. Rugged Radio's out there sometimes. Those guys are out there. So yeah, I'd like to see more of the radio comms guys attend more of these overland shows, but right now that's about all you see. That's what Gigaparts is trying to do.
Yeah, because I think that these kinds of the ham radio stuff, there's just so much more you could do. The barrier to entry there is you have to get licensed. Ham Radio 2.0 and other folks out there have really good videos to help you. Because if I could do it, and if me and Lola could do it, then pretty much anyone could do it. But why? The big question I want to ask you here is like, why do you need this alternate version of communication when we've got phones? Why? What's the answer to that? Someone will ask us that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a good question. It's a good question. But I know a lot of Jeep guys that go out. They'll go out on a Jeep hike over the weekend, and they'll, 4, 5, 6 of them will drive out to somewhere together, and they'll drive up into, off road back into the backwoods or up a mountain or something, and they'll go until they lose cell signal, and that's where they'll camp, and they'll stay there for the weekend. So I've talked to a lot of Jeep clubs that do that. They're just like, we're just trying to get out away from the cell signal, so you can do that. So with radio, you don't need a cell network or a repeater. You can talk radio to radio, and it doesn't require an infrastructure. It doesn't require satellites. It doesn't require repeaters. It doesn't require cell towers. You can use ham radio with all of those things, but it's not required. You can also use it radio to radio, which is what we call simplex. And all you need is power, a 12 volt battery power, or a little handheld with its own battery on it. And you can communicate immediately with the group that you're in. You can use repeaters, which oftentimes are up on top of mountains, to communicate to a larger area. And it's a way to communicate that doesn't rely on someone else having something up for you to use, like a cell network or a cell tower or something like that.
Yeah. It's very useful in emergencies and stuff like that as well. Obviously, if you have your phone, but if you're somewhere where your phone's not going to work,
right?
In an emergency, if you got in touch with someone else, my understanding is you can link out to that person and get them to get help for you, right?
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I've done several stories on my channel about people doing just exactly that. Yeah. Using ham radio to call somebody and say, "Hey, are you near a phone? Can you call the forest the forest ranger office at this forest where we're lost and stuck or whatever, and tell them where we are, give them these GPS coordinates." And they're using the radios to call out because their cell phone batteries either died or more than likely they're just out of cell range.
Yeah, I can imagine all those people that were out at Burning Man. I wasn't there, but I would have liked to have heard the radio chatter.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about this Burning Man where they all got stuck out there in the mud because it rained?
Yeah, because it rained. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Any ham radio people out there who are at Burning Man, let me know. That's typically what I do with the radios when we're out there. Is I'll put these radios on if we're at a show or something like that, and I'll just you can listen to the chatter of what's going on with the people organizing it or other folks that are there. And you can also hack these. Like this one is hacked so that it could listen to GMRS. I just need to go pay the fee for it. So
that one there will always listen to GMRS. I think the hack you got is where it'll transmit on GMRS, which is
okay. So these always hear it, but in order to transmit,
they always hear it. Yeah. They which technically you're not supposed to do. I don't really think most anyone cares. My theory's always been, just don't act like a jerk on the air, and just be polite and be respectful. Nobody's going to really care what radio you're using most of the time. But you can monitor and a lot of times monitoring's all you need, because if you're in a big group of people and you're just trying to listen to see what's going on, a lot of radios will monitor the GMRS and or CB radio frequencies. A lot of people monitor channel 19 when they're on the interstate, because you're going to hear about traffic accidents long before Waze or Google tells you that there's an accident up here. You're going to hear about it on channel 19 a lot, many times.
Yeah, and that's also a ham radio thing. There's lots of folks who are not ham radio licensed, but you can listen in, and people do listen in. In Florida here, we have a pretty good system set up here for communications if you have hurricanes, stuff like that. Just don't interrupt it or don't be an asshat.
Yeah, right, exactly.
On that.
Yeah. Just be respectful.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break here. We're going to come back. If you guys have questions, whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll get into right after this. So as you guys might have already heard, Lola and myself are brand ambassadors for Sunshine State RV. And as VanNoisSeurs, I want to take this moment to encourage anyone who is in the market for a Class B van to start their journey with SSRV.
Sunshine State RVs specializes in selling Class B vans and B plus RVs. That is the reason why they are the #1 dealer in all of the state of Florida.
Number 3 in the whole United States.
SSRV will fly you right to their location in Gainesville, Florida. They'll give you a very detailed and thorough walkthrough of your van, and they'll give you a 2-night stay at a local campground so you can get used to your van. If you don't like that, you can actually have hands-free delivery anywhere in the United States of your RV.
We bought our Coachman Beyond from Sunshine State RV 2 years ago. And over the past 2 years, we've seen how they treat customers when it comes to warranty side. Their service team is great. Whether you bought it from them or not, every person that comes in there gets the same service and care when it comes to warranty repairs. The same service, attention, and care. And their team does a great job getting you back on the road safely.
So if you guys are in the market for a B or B plus van, consider Sunshine State RV. We've got a link in the description that you guys can use to see their current inventory and have someone get in touch with you. All right, we are back. And from here, we'll probably talk about, like I said, whatever you want to talk about, Jason. I see Kyle says they form a ham radio club the week of Burning Man with a repeater and a wink link station to send email out. Mm-hmm. Cool. And then you said, let's go next year. Laugh out loud.
Yeah. I've always wanted to go to Burning Man. I've never been there, but I hear it's it's like the crowd is huge, and I don't like really big crowds usually, so that's one reason I've never gone. But,
yeah, it would be cool, though. It would be cool to go up there and see. It'd be
cool to go up there at least one time and just kind of see what it's like,
Yeah, I heard there's celebrities out there and stuff like that, because I think a bunch of those celebrities had to walk their way out of there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So I mean, the thought of what happens at Burning Man is probably usually like debauchery or whatever, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I've just been listening to the Elon Musk biography, and he goes out there, and a whole bunch of people from Tesla, folks in his family and stuff like that, go out there as well. So it's interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe I'll be going out there a year from now or something like that in my Cybertruck.
Oh, there you go. Are you going to get the Tesla Cybertruck?
Oh yeah, I'm on the list, man. I'm waiting.
Are you? All right.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm waiting for them to call me up or whatever it is going to happen.
Nice.
I'm not sure where I am in the list, but I think I'm pretty early, because as soon as I saw the video of them throwing the thing at the window, I was like, I'm in.
Yeah. Good.
If you're willing to smash your windows
right.
in a thing, I'm all in. And I heard you can get actually so it's coming out, but it's not going to have that window, but you can get a kind of bulletproof window. The only thing is your windows can't go up and down if you get that, because it's heavy.
Oh. Yeah.
So I won't be getting that. But the Cybertruck should be somewhat bulletproof, because they allegedly shot a Tommy gun at it, which would be 45s. They shot 9mm, stuff like that. So
I didn't see the Tommy gun one.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Vanessa Kitty says, I used to visit the ARRL HQ in Newington often when I was younger, so you would know exactly what that is.
I was there about a month and a half ago with Kyle, and we were doing a 9-state POTA rove, which is basically you just go to different parks, state parks and national parks, and set up ham radio and talk to people. And we started in Connecticut. We flew into Hartford, Connecticut. We drove around to 9 different states, and when we went through Newington, we stopped there at the ARRL HQ. So it's still there. It's a historic museum. And it's got a lot of cool stuff there if you're into radio. Yeah, I'm sure you're internationally known and locally accepted at every single ham radio thing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you feel like Elvis when you go to a ham radio event?
I guess a little bit, yeah. I guess kind of, but
it's
yeah.
fun, right? It's
Yeah.
It's crazy to be like, like we have these little worlds, and,
Right.
and everyone might know you in that little world. And
Right.
then when you do anything else, people are like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, when I was at the Colorado Overland show last year, there was a couple of guys they walked through, and they had this horde of people that come up to them and shook their hand, and I'm like, okay, that guy's got to be a YouTuber. So I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
But I liked it because I was able to walk through that show and talk to my camera and record stuff and not get stopped all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good.
It's cool. Whenever people recognize me, like, I don't think YouTubers are anywhere near famous. So if there's like A-listers, B-listers, C-listers, D-listers, YouTubers are like Z-listers.
Yeah, something like that.
Most people don't even know who Mr. Beast is, and he's the biggest YouTuber.
I know, that's crazy that people don't know who he is still. But yeah.
So, you're not famous if you're a YouTuber, but it's cool. It feels cool when someone else out there, like, actually takes their time and looks or consumes the content you create, and they appreciate it and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Right.
I love
Correct.
it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Kyle says, I'd like to go to Burning Man, but no rain, no wind for sure. Not sure that's possible. Sand goes everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, they have some extra cleaning fee for all the rental car companies out there that rent cars to people who are going to Burning Man.
Oh,
so
okay. That's a badge of pride if your thing gets dirty. To me,
yeah.
When my van is dirty, to me, I'm happy for that. I know you got to clean it off if you want it to function properly, but
yeah,
it's a cool thing. So let's see. Lee McSee says Cybertruck made in Austin. I drive by the Gigafactory often. Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I look at the videos. There's this guy, his name is Joe Tagmeyer. He makes these drone videos.
Yeah.
That he flies over Giga. So how close are you to, are you in Austin? I know you're in Texas, right?
No, I'm between Dallas and Fort Worth. We're about 3.5 hours north of Austin.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's see. Vanessa Kitty says, nice, 13 miles south of me. She's probably talking about the Connecticut thing. And I want to go back to the Arctic Circle. Oh, that's interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, summertime, though.
Right,
There's probably is there summertime up there?
Yeah. I don't know. Good question.
I'm going to have to do my research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally don't like to be cold. So listen, we were talking about some stuff in your world, in the ham radio world, and now obviously I think you're in the RV world, and you've probably done even more stuff overlanding than I have. What is there something you want to know about vans? Let's say. Yeah.
Actually, yes. So we can talk about this here. Now, I had reached out to you a month or so ago, and I'm going to start doing live streams on my RV/Overland channel. In fact, this Sunday, me and Steve KM9G are going to do the first ever live stream on that channel, and then I've got you scheduled for next month.
Oh, so this Sunday. Okay, where and when are you guys doing it? What time?
This Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
And it will be on my Unplugged channel. If you need a link to that, I can send it to you. But
yes, so that we'll put that up here in the video so people could go join in there and everything. I'll try to catch it if I can. And then you said I'm going to be a guest sometime
next month. Yeah,
okay, you and Lola have worked that out.
Yeah. Me and Lola have gotten that in there. So I don't know if I can post. Can I post a link in there?
You can. You should be if you're on YouTube. You should be able to put it there in the chat.
Okay.
If not, send it to Lola or something. Maybe she could put it in.
I put it in the chat on YouTube. So I think it worked.
Okay.
I think it worked.
All right. Yeah.
So we're doing our first live stream on there. We're going to talk about RV life because Steve's now a full-time RVer, and then we're going to bring you on next month and talk about van life. So we can talk about part of that right here. You and I spoke about this on the phone a couple weeks ago. What I want to do is build an Econoline, if I could talk. I want to build an Econoline van, 4-wheel drive conversion van, with the roof rack and a lot like that. Yes,
Right.
a lot like that. And
I
I
had
want
that
to
one. I
build
was
one.
saving that one up for you.
Yeah,
I took this
yeah.
at SEMA show.
Oh, that's cool. And I wanted to ask you about SEMA show. The reason I never have been to SEMA show is because it takes place the last few days of October into that weekend, and that's the opening weekend of deer hunting season in Texas, and that's usually where I am weekend. So
Okay, all right. Yes,
why
we don't
I'm
want to
there.
keep you from deer hunting season.
no. Although this last weekend when I was there, it was really warm and that wasn't really worth being there. But it's fun. It's really fun to be out there in the woods.
Oh,
But,
I see Tank in the sorry, I see Tank.
yeah,
there too.
yeah. Yeah, he was sending me Discord messages. I'm like, shut up, I'm live, and I sent him the link.
Yeah. The
Okay.
ham radio people are awesome, man. I love the ham
Yeah,
radio people. Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle says no. Kyle says no link came through, so I guess it blocked the link or something for.
I didn't see it, but if you send it to Lola or something like that, she should be able to put it up. We'll get
I'll
it
send
up there one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so you were saying that SEMA show happens at the beginning of deer hunting, so you can't get
Right.
through there.
Correct.
So what was it you wanted to ask me about SEMA show?
Well, I just kind of like. I mean, I might just bite the bullet and go next year. What's it about? I mean, it looks like a car show. Because I thought it was like a 4-wheel drive show, but then I think last year you did a video on some like new like Ferrari looking car. Or maybe it was an EV or something. I don't remember, but
Yeah, SEMA show is an aftermarket. It's an aftermarket show for vehicles. So it's you can have supercars, you can have the big pickup trucks people do a lot of stuff with. It's all any kind of vehicle out there. So you'll see earth roamers out there. You'll see your old classic cars. It's pretty much anything in that realm. All the stuff that goes into it. So aftermarket lights and stereos and suspension systems, etc., etc. And so I used to go to that before I got into the Class B world, doing camper van stuff like that. I used to go out there to see the fancy cars. I've always been into cars, but they do have a section that covers overlanding. They do have a lot of trucks out there, so they have Jeeps, and they've got your Tundras, your Tacomas, your Forerunners, all those kinds of things. Everything's there, really.
Yeah.
So, but I mostly, when I go nowadays, focus on the overlanding stuff, either the vans or vehicles like what I just showed you. That pictures of a Sportsmobile, Econoline type of stuff. I think those are cool. So, it's now that part of it is growing. It's not as big as the other stuff. I would say it's probably bigger for all the fancy cars and classic cars and things like that. But this is the second biggest show that happens in Las Vegas. So the biggest would be CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah.
Then the second biggest one will be SEMA, and I think the third biggest is SHOT Show.
SHOT Show. So SEMA's bigger than SHOT Show, huh?
Yes.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and it is a lot of people. Now they have like a SEMA Fest while that's going on. SEMA Show, I think, it's like from I think it starts Tuesday, goes all the way to Friday. It's at the convention center, which is huge. It takes up the whole entire convention center.
Wow. Okay.
You've got to get transportation and stuff to go around. Nowadays, Tesla's out there. Elon Musk also has the Boring Company that they drill these holes. So they're drilling these tunnels all under Las Vegas, and they actually have cars there for any events, big events that are going on. Tesla's out there moving people around on the ground.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. So I hope that describes, like, because Kyle asked what SEMA show.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because, so I wanted to do the van build thing and then eventually end up, and your Sunshine RV thing you showed there a minute ago was like, hey man, that's a couple of those. I've always been a Ford guy, but that Dodge ProMaster van that's a neat looking setup. When they do those things up for the van life type experience, I really like that Dodge ProMaster. I think that's a neat looking van. That's I like the way it's laid out and everything about it, how it just the doors on it and everything. But those are the ones I've kind of been looking at. So I can see myself perhaps building like an Econoline type van eventually, and then because I want to do a series of videos on it, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
And then eventually getting rid of it and getting something more like the Transit or the ProMaster van, something like that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing right now. But I'm just getting my feet wet and all this stuff, so I'm trying to figure out what to do and where to go and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, van life, I think, it is growing. I wanted to talk with you later about like what's actually happening in van life right now, since we have a good opportunity. But van life, I think, is growing because if you've got a big trailer, right? If you've got a big Class A diesel pusher, if you've got a fifth wheel, it's a lot of gas, very expensive. I think the Class Bs tend to be probably in the most expensive category because a Class B could cost you somewhere from 75 up to you just name the number that's over 150,000.
Right.
I put up a short of a van we saw at SEMA show that was over $700,000, and it was a van.
Wow. Goodness. That's crazy.
So yeah, nuts. So but vans are convenient because they're so much smaller. You can pretty much park them anywhere. They're more stealthy. They don't always look, I mean, let's be honest, like a lot of them do look like RVs, but you can kind of get away. Yeah, you can get away with things you can't in other places. And I think, like David says here, he says that's awesome. Is anyone making a full-size 4x4 van anymore? And that's about the Econoline.
Yeah, so that was my question when I first started looking into it, and I joined a Facebook group that's called 4x4 Vans. And a couple of those guys were really courteous and welcoming. I said, "Hey guys, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm new," and they were polite and everything. But they said, "No, those are all conversions." So there's a company called ujoint.com, and there may be more than just them, but there's a company called ujoint.com. I want to say they're out of Arizona, but they make 4-wheel drive conversion kits for numerous vehicles. Excursions, expeditions, Tahoes, vans of all kinds
Ford,
of styles.
I don't think ever made those vans 4x4.
I don't believe so. I don't believe they ever made them 4x4. I think all of those that you see are conversion vans. At least in those year the year models where they stopped making the 7.3 liter diesel in the 2002, I believe it was. And that's a 1,000,000-mile motor. And a lot of these guys I met a guy at the Overland show, Colorado last year, who that's what he and his wife traveled in one of those. And he's like, yeah, man, it's got 250,000 miles on it, but I'm 1/4 of the way done with it. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's really cool. But they don't make that engine anymore. So that's what people try to get the vans and the trucks and the everything's with those engines, because if you take care of them, they'll last just forever. So
yeah. I mean, they're apocalypse vehicles, for lots of different reasons. But I don't think Ford makes the Econoline anymore. So whatever you see now is actually built on a chassis. So it's built on the current chassis, and then they basically changed the body. So that picture I showed you guys, that is Sportsmobile, and that's actually a conversion. Let me see if I can pull it up again. But that particular thing is a conversion that Sportsmobile does to make the body that specific look. And the other thing I would say about it is that so I know that the Sprinter vans are 4x4, right? And if you want a 4x4, you actually want to do the conversion. That's the better 4x4, if that makes sense.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when we were in Moore, I think it was Moore last year, they were, or that was this year actually, they were telling us that the Sprinters are going to an all-wheel drive instead of a 4-wheel drive system.
Yeah, they are all-wheel drive now, yes.
Okay.
So that's matching what Ford is doing with the Transit. So that's pretty much what you would get is all-wheel drive. That's the closest you can get, like, from the factory right now. Now, Mercedes was doing on the Sprinter 4-wheel drive before, but my opinion of that 4-wheel drive, it's just really rear-wheel drive, and then you put it in this mode that kind of like, it winds up being all-wheel drive. It's not really like what you would consider a traditional 4x4 that you would get with your Jeep, you would get with a 4Runner, Tacoma, Tundra. If you want that actual real hardcore 4x4, you want to do a conversion anyway. So whether you want it to look like an Econoline, if you want a Mercedes, if you want a Sprinter, and you want it to be a real 4x4, there's a conversion out there. There's a company called, it's German, it's called Inglot Allrad, and they build the stuff, and there's companies here that will do that for you. And then with the Transit, it's the same kind of thing. You probably just want to get a rear-wheel drive Transit and do the conversion and make it 4x4. I believe that stuff is out there, and it's also out there for the ProMaster, I think, as well.
How many people actually do that, though? Because a lot of the van life stuff I watch on YouTube, these people aren't going off-road. They're just traveling the country, really. So, I mean, you wouldn't really want, and you're going to sacrifice a little bit of fuel mileage as well if you go four-wheel drive. So, how popular is it to do the Transit and ProMaster style vans in a four-wheel drive?
I don't see it that often.
I wouldn't think it'd be that. Yeah, because the thing about an Econoline style van, and whether it's, regardless if it's Ford or not, but that style of van is, when they look four-wheel drive, they look like an overland vehicle. There's guys putting roof racks on them and fold-out awnings and kitchens and they look like, hey, we're going to go somewhere, we're going to climb up a mountain, and we're going to camp inside this thing. But you don't see that a lot. You don't see that as often from the little bit I've experienced. You don't see that as often in the Transits and ProMasters. Those are more like, hey, let's go out here and camp in the state park or in this RV park or something. So
I think the question is, I think you brought up a good point. Like, when you say, that they look like you could just go off-road, climb a mountain in them. I think that is something that we'll probably we can discuss a little bit more in the next segment. Okay. But, not everything can actually go off-road. That's a thing I try to remind people. Not as much as you think off-road. There's scales of off-road. Let's put it that way. I think those vehicles are good apocalypse vehicles because you can go off the beaten path and get out of traffic or go different ways if things go wrong. But really climbing mountains, I'm not so sure. We'll talk about it here when we get back in a second. Lola and I are now official brand ambassadors for Coachmen Class B. So I wanted to take a moment to tell you guys why we, as VanNoisSeurs, like it says on our t-shirt, are very excited about our partnership with Coachmen Class B.
First off, Coachmen RVs has been a leader to the great outdoors since 1964.
So next is the fact that Coachmen really cares about you as an owner, whether you bought new or used. After you buy your van, they really take care of you.
With Coachmen Class B, you have all the options. Coachmen builds on all three van platforms. On the Mercedes Sprinter, it's the Coachmen Galleria. The Ford Transit is the Coachmen Beyond. And Ram ProMaster is the Coachmen Nova.
Lastly, best value for money. We've had our van for 2 years, and Coachmen builds to the highest standards of quality and craftsmanship. You can't go wrong with a Coachmen Class B. So if you're interested, check out the link in our description and find the Coachmen van that's best for you. All right, we're back. One of the things I love about doing this podcast is being able to talk to my friends. Time goes so fast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Me and Jason, we could talk for hours. It made Lola sick.
Yeah.
So, what I was going to say to you, I've been planning a video around this of where can things really go, because there's a scale. So if you imagine like flat Earth, down here, and then up here, this is like the tippy top of a mountain somewhere. Up here on top of the mountain is a goat. The literal goat, right? Goat. Okay. Below that goat would be, I would say, a person. And then down here on the bottom, it would be these big, massive, like earth roamers, your excursion type of vehicles. And everything is a scale in between that. So people see these big excursion vehicles and go, oh man, I could go anywhere with that. When I see those things in the real world, they're typically down on flat ground. Okay, so they are good, right? They are good things. They can go into, like Burning Man, they can go into the desert and stuff like that. But they really can't climb mountains. If you imagine when you've gone up on a mountain somewhere, there's typically not a real road. It's definitely not a 2-lane or 4-lane highway going up that mountain. It's a very thin road that one vehicle can go up at a time. So those big vehicles going out on the edge, if you look at those, the guys that do recovery.
Yeah.
You always see these big vehicles falling off the side of a mountain. They're not supposed to be they're not supposed to be climbing up there. You're supposed to have those vehicles. You're really comfortable, kind of like a big house moving with you. You can go into the desert, but you bring your side-by-side, your motorcycles, bicycles, you bring those kinds of things with you. And then that becomes a base, and you travel up from there. You might tow a Jeep or something, right? So now, like Jeeps, Tacomas, things like that. Even a van can go further than those big, massive vehicles. Right? If you've got a decent enough road, you can get a van up there.
Yeah. Yes.
But the bigger that van is, the less it's going to be able to do as you go up high. So now you want to go from that van to a Jeep. Eventually a Jeep is only going to get you so far as well. Now you need to get on a bicycle, an e-bike, a motorcycle, dirt bike, something like that, go up higher. And eventually you just want to walk, and climb your way up. And ultimately, there's places you can't go as a person. Only a goat's going to be able to go.
Yeah.
So that's my pitch on that. And I think a lot of people don't they don't take that seriously because of marketing. I think a lot of people make it look like, oh, you buy this vehicle that costs $1 million, you can go wherever you want. That's just not true.
Not really. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Makes sense.
There's tons of videos out there to show you that. So Jeeps are very capable, right? But you can only be so comfortable in a Jeep, or a let's say a 4Runner or Tacoma Tundra or something like that. And the higher that you make your center of gravity, the more dangerous it is when you're going up.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
The same thing goes for those vans. Like if you look at that picture of the van, the Econoline I think there was a rack up there. There was a rooftop tent, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you go a little bit off the edge, that whole thing is tumbling down the mountain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in rock crawling. These Jeep guys go out there and they go rock crawling, and that looks like a lot of fun. It does. Yeah. That's not really my thing. My thing is just I want to go out somewhere that is and with a ham radio aspect to it. I'd like to go out, kind of tooling around in a national forest and find some place to disperse camp that's just off the beaten path and set up an antenna and activate the national forest as a POTUS spot. Yeah. So that's basically the thing I want to do. So, but I also enjoy the whole idea behind, hey, let's build this. I've always enjoyed building things, and especially vehicles. But I was like, it might be fun to build this out and do a whole video series on it. So I'm looking at it from a YouTube perspective on that as well. So kind of like a double or triple whammy. Yeah,
those Econolines are really cool. I'm not trying to talk you down from it. I want you to do it so that I can make some videos on it.
Okay, yeah.
I think the Econolines are really cool. I think, with anything you do, it's like when you're talking to folks about ham radio, people think they buy this radio and they could do everything.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I know for a fact it won't do everything. In fact, the transit vans and the ProMaster style vans are much more roomy on the inside than these are. In fact, that one, if you go back and look at that that one you just showed, that's a neat looking van. Don't get me wrong, that's a neat looking van. But I don't want one with windows all around the sides of it.
Okay.
They make some that are commonly called work vans that just have windows in the front doors and maybe in the side door, and no windows around except for maybe in the back. Sometimes they have windows in the back, and then they have some that are like passenger fans that have windows all the way around. Well, I don't want windows all the way around if I'm going to build a camper van out of it. You don't want to be able to see in, number one, and you're going to put stuff up on the side also, but then that's just easier to break into.
Right.
Throw a rock through a window is easier than cutting into the side of a van. So
I think that's a double-edged sword as well, right? So I understand what you're saying. You want it to be stealthier, but at some point you got to think about this. You're going to want windows. Now, why are you going to want windows? Because when it's hot, that's going to become a problem. Even if you have an AC, that's not necessarily going to fill all your needs in AC. So it's good to have windows in order to vent that vehicle or some way to vent it.
Well, I would put a one of those. What's that popular fan? The roof fan.
Yeah, the Max fans and stuff like that.
Max fan, the Max Air fans. Yeah, I would put something like that in it before wanting to have windows on the side. That's just kind of my opinion. I mean, there's probably reasons to have windows, and that's fine. But if you're going to build out a van and you're going to put up sides and cabinets and beds and a kitchen over here and a bed and this kind of thing, and you're going to cover up those windows from the inside anyway, then I'm just like, I mean, they're covered up. You can't use them anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
so
just seems like
a lot of it is aesthetics, right? Of how it looks. So like in my van, there's a bathroom right next to me here, but it looks like there's windows there. Those are really just fake windows for the look. But the back door of that thing is a window, and I can look out that window. It doesn't open. Now there's some windows towards the front that do open, and there's different ways that thing goes. But when you've got to think about this. If you have ACs or even the Max fan, all of that's power that's drawing. So if you're out somewhere, especially if you're in shade and the weather is good, why run the fan? Or AC is going to be terrible. The fans are way better.
Yeah,
but why run it if you could just open up the windows and air everything out? There's also, if something happens to you and you're in one of those vans that's completely enclosed and you can't get to the front, how are you getting out of there? So you want to think about that too. If there's doors, you could go out the doors depending on what happens. Windows don't necessarily mean you could go out either, right? So everything is a balance of what you want as long as you know what you're getting into. The one thing the windows do is that I think is a big negative is it makes you more of a hot box, right? It's not insulated. The sun's coming in, heating it up. If you build up a van and you don't have windows and you close it off, you can have more insulation. So these are the things you kind of have to fight it out. But so you see a lot of folks would do exactly what you're saying. They put in the fans and an AC. I find that incredibly important. Another thing I find that's important, that to me is important but not to everyone, is a bathroom.
See, I want to be able to be self-sufficient for at least 3 days if I need to be, which to me means I at least want a bathroom and a shower. Right. Even if they're a combo, even if it's a composting toilet, I would want something like that too, because I want to be able to say, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to spend 2 nights or 3 nights or whatever out here, have my solar set up, maybe have a backup generator for something. You have a generator built into your transit van.
I do.
That you can run that and keep the air conditioner running, or use it to charge your Battleborn batteries, right? To do that sort of thing. So
I do have a generator
like that.
You could also, another thing is, like, what I've learned over time is that generator is a pain in the butt.
Really? Okay.
Because it's another point of failure. So what I think is easier, and it's a point of failure as well, but not as bad as a generator. A lot of people just put in a second alternator. So when you run your engine, the engine on its own, the first alternator that's in there is usually, you want to be careful with that, right? Because that's powering stuff, and you don't want to pull too much power from it, especially if you have lithium batteries. So you put in a second alternator, and with that engine running, that actually can get you more juice. Those 2 alternators can get you more juice typically than generators, and then they're easier to fix and replace and stuff like that than a generator. But once again, this is all preference stuff. If I had it to do again, I would, instead of the generator, have more batteries. And put a second generator in there. I would also try to get more solar panels on vans. That's the big problem. People think that like a couple of solar panels on there is all you need. It doesn't really do much.
No.
So like
you need
200 watts is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed on that. I'm familiar with the solar panel stuff and how to do that. But I guess the problem I foresee with 2 generators is that then you have to, if you want to get out of the vehicle and walk away, you have to leave the whole vehicle running. And then someone just throws a rock through your front driver's side window and takes off with your stuff.
Well, they could do that anyway.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be a lot more challenging to start a non-running vehicle with no keys in it if a generator's sitting in the back running. I mean, it's just, if the vehicle's right there running, they could just, hey, let's pop the lock and pop the window and get in and drive away. It's already running. Keys are in it. So you'd have to have some sort of safety thing to prevent that, I would think. I don't know. Depends on where you live also.
Depends on the
areas
setup too.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the setup. Some vans won't do that, so you could have that engine running, but that van will not shift, or actually drive in it, unless a key or some other thing is present, but the engine will run. Right, and that depends on the setup of it. But it's a good point. See, our brains kind of think alike when you got to balance all these things. And really, the maintenance on a generator is, you just, like, for me, it's a pain in the butt, but I have one, and it does come in handy for what you're saying. It's still sipping from gasoline or diesel or whatever you have, and nowadays, if people really want to get things going, they can. I think the really big thing, if you could do it, that would help with a lot of this stuff, is solar panels. But you need to get enough. Like, you need to get as close to 1,000 watts in order to do that. 1,000 watts can replace what an AC uses every hour when an AC is running.
Assuming you're in good sunlight.
Yes, if you're in good sunlight. So either you want to have that separate solar panels that you put in sunlight, connect it to your van, or some kind of system that's on your roof, which is really difficult with a van. If you've got other stuff up there, good luck finding that kind of space. So it's a balance. This is the thing you have to remember with a van. Very small, and you have to think about what's important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Are you bringing a lot of stuff with you? Is power important? Are your batteries big enough? There's a big difference in all these kinds of things. And then yes, how are you going to run that thing? So
right, totally.
There's lots of different ways. So, and now technology, like I have what's called a solar generator, and mine is from Jackery.
Yeah,
and it's not the biggest. I think mine is like a 3,000 watt.
Okay.
And I got a bunch of solar panels for it and stuff like that. So you could always put that off separately in the sun, get that charged up. Someone could steal that thing. They're ridiculously expensive.
Right.
Kyle says, I'm like Jason. I want to do a few nights off grid on a forest road, no rock crawling, but I need a hot shower every few days. Yes, you can get that in a van but you can't have a long shower. You got to do like literally military 2-minute showers.
You know what? That's what we do at the hunting lease, because there's no facilities at the hunting lease at all. We take our RVs out there and we fill up our water tanks before we get there. Or sometimes I'll get a 55-gallon barrel and fill it up at home and drive it out there and pump it into the trailer. But the 2 to 3 minute military shower in the evening, that's plenty. I mean, between that and no shower, it makes a huge difference.
It's awesome.
I don't want to. It is. It's great.
It's a luxury.
I don't need to sit there in the shower for 10 minutes and rinse off and just kind of veg. If I can take a 2-minute military shower at night, I sleep so much better. It's just it's totally worth it to be able to do that, even if you have to cut it real short.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's things you could do to stretch that out. There's lots of there's some devices out there that will help, like, I can't remember the name of it now, but we have one. It's like a little tank, and it fills up with water, and then it soaps up. So that water is hot, and you can soap yourself up with that, but you're not using as much water. And, you can literally sit there, wash yourself off, and everything with that. You could use it to wash dishes and stuff. So that's one way. And then there's these things that they call towels in a bag. And there's a bunch of different versions of this, but it's essentially a wet wipe in a bag. You can microwave some of them. So it gets hot, it warms up, and you can use that. It's like a big towel. You start off with your face, wash your hair, then go down your body and clean yourself off. So that's ways of stretching out the water consumption. And then, of course, yes, you can have that, especially if it's 2 people. Like if it's me on my own on my tank, I could go definitely a couple of days taking a shower, but I could reasonably do like 4 or 5 days. But if it's me and Lola, then that's going to come down to a couple of days.
Right. There's also, I have an app called Overlander. You've probably heard of it. And you can look up places. You can look up places for all kinds of stuff on that app. But one of the categories they have is free water fill up, or maybe paid water fill up. If it's not too expensive. But you can find places to fill your water tanks to You know,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a van, that's easier to get into places. A lot of gas pumps have a water valve next to the gas pump.
Yep.
And you just sit there and fill up with gas and fill up your water tank at the same time. So,
Yeah.
you can find if you're resourceful, you can find places to fill up on water.
Yeah, and some parks have that, depending on what part of the country you're in. They have those things. There's some folks that travel around with devices that, because you could always dump your gray water, right? Your black tank is the thing you want to worry about if you have a black tank. You can't dump that wherever you want.
Right.
But the gray water, typically, that's, that can go back to the ground. But then you need to fill it back up. Well, some people have devices. You put it in a stream, you pump and filter this water, you put it back in your system.
Good idea. Yeah.
So, just look for the survivalist stuff.
Yeah.
Check out REI and different places like that. What places do you go to for this kind of stuff? Is it just Amazon?
No, I do a lot on Amazon. Yeah, I mean, Amazon's convenient. There's a Overland store, brick and mortar store here by me called CB Adventure Supply, and they're not too far from me. And then the one I like actually a little bit better is down south. They're in Santa Fe, Texas, just north of about halfway between Galveston and Houston. When I go to Galveston, I go down there, and they're called Midgard Adventure Supply.
Okay.
And those guys are the ones who installed the roof rack on my pickup. And I got his phone number. I call him sometimes and ask him questions about this, that, and the other. He's a cool guy. He was at the Moore Expo last year as well. So, but there's a couple of Overland shops that are near me, and if I want to order something, I might call one of those guys, or I might, a lot of times I will get it on Amazon. So,
Yeah, Amazon's not a bad place at all.
Yeah.
So the final thing I want to talk to you about, because time's flying here, and we'll carry this over a little bit into the end, is what's going on in the van world in terms of finances and stuff like that. So for a guy like you, for maybe folks out there who haven't gotten a van yet, or looking to get a new van, RV of some sort, this is a buyer's market we're going into. Interest rates are high. For lots of there's people getting laid off around the country, stuff like that. We're kind of like we're kind of going in a down direction in terms of the economy now. So good opportunities out there. What do you think about that? Is that something you're looking at?
Yeah. Well, not at this. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right in what you just said. I'm not looking at that right now. I bought my RV a year and a half ago, and you probably couldn't sell it for what I paid for it now, just because it's everybody was buying RVs during COVID and going and living off grid and using Starlink and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are going back to work now, going back to the office, and the RV market is kind of flat right now. So there's just too many of them out there. So with the van thing with me, I wanted to I find it challenging and interesting to do the build myself.
Okay.
So one of these days I might go ahead and purchase something like that. But even with like the ProMaster series, like there's a couple of channels we watch on YouTube where they bought a gutted ProMaster and did the build out themselves. You can find companies that'll do a design, like a blueprint design for you, and then you just build it yourself, or maybe they'll build it for you, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what interests me more than just going out and just buying a brand new one or that kind of thing. If I found a really good price on a used one, one that was 2, 3, 4 years old, that was in good condition, and the guy was just wanting to dump it, I might do that. But right now I'm not really looking at buying anything.
Yeah. I think you have to balance what kind of time and what kind of skills you have.
Yes.
Versus, so if you go buy a built van from a company out there, it's going to cost you, like I said, you're looking at minimum 75, 100, 150,000, and that can go up. That could double, triple, quadruple from there. And I agree with what you're saying. I think there's, in some cases, a lot of builders, especially in the van space, a lot of folks jumped on the Class B vans because it's really the only section that's still growing, right? So everyone started doing that, and that's why you see now there's some folks that are going out of business. There's a company that I did some videos with called Regency. They made really nice Class B, Class C vans. They just recently went out of business, and that's unfortunate, right? We're going to see more of that because not everyone could do that. But if you don't have the skills, that's sometimes the best way for you to go. Otherwise, you pretty much just burn through your money. You mess stuff up. You wind up spending just as much money. trying to get a van. Now, if you have the skills like you do, and and it's going to take time as well, right? Time, and you're still going to spend money on things that go in there.
Yeah, like if I were to do a 4-wheel drive conversion of an Econoline, I would buy the van, I would buy the kit, and I'd go have someone else install it. I'm not installing that part myself. But I would like to do kind of like once that's done, you're doing the build out. I'd like to pick the roof rack and pick the awning and have someone else install those and then do the build out. I can do part of the build out myself and choose my own batteries and choose where the plug outlets are and that kind of thing. So being able to customize it like that's kind of what interests me. But yeah, I mean, they say time is money, and that's the absolute truth of it. You can, and it's easier said. I'm not saying it's really easy to make money. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But you can make money easier than you can make time, which is to say,
depending on what your skills are.
Yeah. But you can't make more time. Once time is gone, it's gone. So you can't I'm going to add another hour to tomorrow and make it 25 hours tomorrow instead of 24. You can't do that.
Yeah. So like we're doing an experiment right now on the StrangerPalooza channel with my friend Walter, who bought a van. That was already it's an older van, 2005 Sprinter van, and he bought that relatively inexpensive. He's gutting it and stuff like that. Walter has the skills, tools, all that kind of stuff to do it. Time is the issue. He's got a job. He's got his own company that he's actually several companies that he's running. So it's going to take him longer to get that built out. And meanwhile, he doesn't necessarily have that van to go out there and do things with. So, I would say, what's that experience like, regardless of how you do this? If you buy it, if you build it, regardless of, some people spend a lot of time looking at, is this the best time? Should I wait? Guess what? Get out in life. If you want to do this, get out and do it and have those experiences, because yes, time will run out on you and you'll all of a sudden find out you're too old or you're sick now, or that you've missed that opportunity for you to go out there and have an adventure. And overall in your life, what is it worth to have that adventure? And I've done some stuff in vans. Like Lola and I have been to some places and seen awesome things, or I've seen these things on my own, and they're just priceless to me. So balance all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the way I think to do it. I see some more. Steve is out there. Yeah, shout out to everyone who's out there. We're actually wrapping it up now because we burned through an hour really fast. And I'm sure we didn't cover everything you guys maybe wanted us to cover. I will try to have Jason come back on because he's fun and easy to talk to. I'm going to be on his show. And on my part, I'm going to recommend everyone check out the channel. We've got several things up from Seema's show. I've got some shorts going up there, a whole bunch of really good things going up. But Jason, I want you to tell the folks how they can communicate with you, where they can see your videos, and follow up on your stuff that you're going to do in regards to overlanding.
Sure, yeah. I will. My main channel is Ham Radio 2.0 on YouTube. And I started a second channel a couple years ago called Unplugged. And I'm not as active on there, but I'm getting more and more active. That's the channel that Hank and I are going to be on together next month. Steve, KM9G, and myself will be on there this coming Sunday, and we're going to make a big push. And this is several months away. We're going to make a big push to get a big ham radio presence at the More Expo next April in Springfield, Missouri. And it's a good show. There's a lot of overland stuff there, a lot of van life stuff there, overland trailers and roof racks and that kind of thing. But Midland is there. You were talking about radios earlier. But we, three of us, Kyle and another guy, Shane and I, we all went out there last year, and we met some other hams when we were out there. And we're going to do some advertising on all of our channels before the show this year and and we're going to all camp together out in the back
sweet
camping area. So it's going to be a fun show. So we're really looking forward to that. That's next April. MoreExpo.com is their website, Springfield, Missouri. And that's going to be my next big overlanding get together, I think, unless I find something between now and then, but that's probably going to be the first one of 2024.
Okay, cool. Yeah, shout out to Steve. What is this call sign again?
KM9G.
9G. Great guy. He's living on the road, temporary offline, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
He's living on the road out of it. Because I spoke to him, I think he was in Louisiana, he was broken down. I was like, what? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He got everything fixed, but yeah, man, he's doing it out there.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll have him on if he wants to come on. I have him on, or I have
sure
you
you
and
would.
him on. Yeah. Any of the ham radio folks out there doing this thing, I'll be happy to have you guys on. The ham radio community is awesome, and I would definitely recommend to folks out there, if you want to know about GMRS, ham radio, CB, any of this kind of emergency or alternate communication stuff, reach out to these folks. Ham Radio 2.0 has been very helpful. He's got a lot of really good content out there. I promise you it's going to help set you in the right direction. So with that being said, I will this just went too fast, man.
Yeah, I know.
I know,
I'm
it
with
just went
you.
too fast. But we had too much fun. We will do this again. Big thanks to everyone out there. I'll give you the last words.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time today. Thanks. I'm glad that we were able to reconnect a few weeks ago. I look forward to having you on my channel. And, yeah, anytime you need a guest to talk about this stuff, I'd love to come back. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee says Steve's RV channel is living for a living. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad I stopped ducking you also.
Right.
No, it was just so crazy. Jason
It's been busy,
was
man.
like, hey, you better let me know if you're getting these texts or not.
You're right.
Yeah. All right, man. I love you. Good to see you
Yeah.
again. Big thanks to everyone out there for joining us. We'll see you. Stay right there, Jason. I am going to end this right now. We're out of here. Peace.
Later, guys.